Oh, snap. I think it's another brief moment in time when we get to see the change of the tides. The shifted, twisted bit technology showcasing the little bits of safety, while the quick trips are surely randomly sparking the photons around me. Let the light flow from the heat, yo. When the photons ignite, highlighting, yo, then you know it's that time when we force a change in tides. A little bit lined with something in us. It's almost like we something else, autonomous, or maybe perhaps it's that missing piece you needin'. Perhaps it's that simple message you searching. Perhaps it's just a different time framing us for the next adventure in the mainframe. Getting excited, so are the photons. Don't laminate so we can change the coupon. Let me raise the hash rate, submit the coupon fake, and reduce the rate while we mine our major bags. Crypto technology like cryptographic money will hashing your life into a set of QRs. It doesn't matter cause it's time for 3D changes perspectives. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, everybody. That's right. It is me, 3D, and I'm here to hopefully will change your perspective. And that's right. You saw the title. You know what's going on. We are going to look directly into both nodes. Last time we looked at the controversy. This time, I really want to help you all get your node running. So we'll be attempting to find minimal requirements and things like that, expected issues, and of course resolve as many of these problems as we can. There may be for your setup. Basically, like, we're going to try to resolve as many common generic issues or find ways for you to be able to solve them for yourself when you set up your node. So over the years, working with various softs, I have just found sometimes just trying them over and over and over is sometimes the best way to like make sure they work, to actually see them and try them out for yourself. Like, basically, you can't just always look at the data to see how they're going to work. Sometimes you got to play with it to actually see how it's going to work. So if you're not sure about which one to use, well, you might just need to go ahead and use both one at a time or something like that and see which one you prefer. Because outside of the parasocial politics arguments, and some of the technical differences that we covered in the last episode, there's only so much difference between these two. How much, well, I guess that's what we're going to really get into, is how much of a difference are they? Alright, well, before we go any further, I want to apologize for the way I sound and whatnot. We had a bunch of technical issues. Basically, one of my pipelines for my audio just completely stopped working today. And that's fine. You know what? We're on Linux. We're going to have some issues. We did figure out a workaround. So I want to go over today's partnerships and sponsors. I want to thank The Organized for teaming up with Bitcoin Live Digital Broadcasting DP, because Bitcoin Live and The Organized are a powerhouse combo. I see new heights for both organizations. Now, if you haven't checked out any of the Organized early morning broadcasts for stacks and other topics that soon to be taken off with every morning show every day, well, then find them on X, Twitter, and pretty much anywhere you're watching this right now. You should be able to find them playing on their dailies. So I do want to thank today's sponsor. Now let me go ahead and get that dropped in, because believe it or not, we have one of those. Here we go. I want to thank Shieldfolio for sponsoring today's episode from within a quantum bit, and as well as the Bitcoin Live DB network. Now, if you haven't seen Shieldfolio, well, it's like a little black book that's made from stone paper, so they're fade resistant, tear resistant, and even water resistant. So you know the info and secrets you store in them will last and survive whatever you throw at it. I personally have a Shieldfolio and use it for website info, contacts, crypto keys, among other things. Pretty much anything I don't want online or on my computer. And it's a little black book. It's pocket size. It's ready by your side, whether your adventure is inline, real life, or online. And I honestly do use one of these for quite a bit of different things. And there's even like specialty pages and things. But basically, there's a giant QR on your screen. There's a small QR on your screen too. But you can take the QR, scan it with your phone, and basically be able to go directly to the website. And if you use their website today to go ahead and get your Shieldfolio, use the code BitcoinLive20, get 20% off your purchase today. And now again, I'm going to keep that at the bottom of the screen throughout today's episode. So anytime that you're watching, you can just pull out that stall, go ahead and get that quick snip and go ahead and visit, get your order in, use the code on the screen, BitcoinLive20, get 20% off. It's really that simple. Now we're going to go ahead and do the intros with what's going on. And alright, let's go in with Rollins. Alrighty then, thank you again, Shieldfolio, for sponsoring today's episode. Okay. So before we go any further, we're going to do this thing throughout today's episode. That's the wrong one. Sorry. Sorry, wrong one. So throughout today's episode, we're going to be going through, and as we do, you're going to see this little thing pop up, this little QR. You're going to be able to scan that QR and visit anywhere we're at, so you'll be able to follow along, or after the episode, if you're watching as a replay, you can always catch up and find out where we're at. Now, if you're curious, the description in YouTube, on the YouTube video for this, should have all the links posted on it right now. Now, in front of you, what you see, well, this is the organized media. They are the people that go live almost every morning with their Bitcoin and Stacking Stacks episodes and shows. And I just wanted to show you, these are the people for your daily hookup for what's digitally popping. These are the guys I was talking about earlier, and they are real, like I said, popping off with every day. Okay, so that's how we're going to do this as we go on. So, sorry, got a little preemptive. I want to give you guys all today a free pre-search query. We do this every episode, and today's free pre-search query is spec differences for running Bitcoin node knots versus core hardware. Like always, I did not use this query in today's episode research, but that doesn't mean that we won't have some overlapping links. And if anything about today's episode interests you, we'll then use this free pre-search query to help you get caught up on more about today's episode. For more information regarding today's episode, just replay after the show, catch this QR, scan it, and we'll jump into the rabbit hole right after the episode. So that way you don't have to worry about what's going on. Let's worry about what's going to happen next. So let's think about this for a second. If both nodes have some amount of differences, even down to a code point, right? Then there should be some amount of, difference in hardware specs, services, and other systems, maybe even dependencies for the need of that node. And, yeah, okay, that makes sense, right? And that there's that kind of difference that we need, as in like the hardware resources as well, right? And that there might be a hidden difference or difficulty to find, so to speak, some of this, especially, I'm going to do what we can to at least figure out some way of determining a spec minimum for you all to do. So you can actually, when you're getting ready to set up, if you have to buy hardware, I want you to make sure you get the right hardware first time. Okay. Whew. Alright, so, let me Okay, so we're getting into the actual episode of today. I'm going to go ahead and you're going to see me bring these up and drop these down. Okay. So, this was one where I was trying to find the minimal specs for knots, and you see I just straight up had to end up asking an AI, because I honestly can't find real minimum specs required for Bitcoin knots specifically. Now, of course, I did find an unofficial source. Okay. So, and I believe we'll get into that here a bit. I just wanted to show you guys, first thing we're going to be talking about is Bitcoin knots. So it's saying here that tech specs is any one of the three major operating systems, some form of Linux, Mac OS, or Windows. And believe it or not, if you're using Ubuntu or you're using Debian, you're going to have a hard time. Um, so they say you need at least 4 gigabytes of RAM. They say you need at least a dual core processor. They say you need at least 1 gigabyte of free space. Okay, so out of everything we just saw there, operating system, CPU, yeah, you're gonna need at least those two things. You're gonna need at least one of those three operating systems, and you're going to need a dual core processor, unless you have one hell of a single core that's just insane. But I do believe the Bitcoin nodes were pretty much designed around dual core processing, um, or have been for quite some time now, at least. So let's get into it for real, for real. So last time we came here, let me get you the QR. Last time we came here, we didn't actually click download to see like what happens. And so when we click it, we get this. So keep in mind, I'm talking about this right here. If you see right above my head, it says download Bitcoin knots for Ubuntu. Let me get that closer to my face. So right here in front of me, I see my model is not really working with me right now. I am moving my hand. It's supposed to be moving. I apologize for that. So right here by my face, you'll see it says download Bitcoin knots for Ubuntu. If I click that download button, what ends up coming up is this right here. So now we're on a launch pad for okay, and we are about to have to do a personal package archive or PPA, and this will allow us to have access to some stuff that we need for this setup on Linux. Okay. So as you can tell, it's going to get a little technical. Now, if you're on Linux and Ubuntu or Debian, you're probably used to these types of things. You're also used to these types of things not working. So if we look around enough on Bitcoin knots, for example, this is just that page we were on earlier. This is that page again. If I click this little button down here, woo, get a whole bunch more information right off the bat. Okay, so then we can go and we can actually see these different installers. So, like for example, install Mac. If I just click open new, it just immediately starts trying to download. Okay, that's exactly what we would expect to happen, and that even happens. Like if I come up here and um, I pick my, and we click in new link. It does actually go to that launchpad. It does actually pull up. It does do the same thing. Like if I just go over and click download. So basically, what I'm saying is, whatever operating system this website sees you're running, it's most likely going to put that option right here above the little blue arrow for you to use, and that's nothing bad. That's actually really decent. So getting into it, if you're just wanting all the Ubuntu flavor releases, so all the releases or packages, you're gonna have to actually find them a little bit. So for each single major whatever, there's release packages. You can see there's that at the Debian, the DBs, and then regular Ubuntu flavors up here at the top. And if we see what series they actually give us, so like I had to go out and grab Noble specific because that's my operating system right here. I'm using a Noble specific. All right, so then we can get it, we can grab it, we can download it, we can try it, we can use it. Okay. Let me see. Okay, well, I got notes on this one. Let me see if they have anything there. I didn't already just say. Nope, I already said all that. Okay. So we're just going to go on next. Whoop. Right here. So, well, let me go back and make sure you have packages. And make sure you have this one. This is a filter. But as you can see, you can't do anything with it. That's why I had to actually go figure out how to find the packages. All right, so now, okay. So this is getting core set up. This is just Bitcoin.org. This is all you need to get set up for this core. As you see, I did all this. Here we go. Download Bitcoin Core. And then right here on the side So right above my head, you'll see there's a whole bunch of different versions. There's the Linux Snap, there's the PPCs and 64, the RISC, the ARM, Linux, the Mac OS, Windows at the very top. So they make it very easy to find it and stuff and to verify it. Cool. Okay. So really getting the data and installers is probably the easy part. For majority of people at least. So what about those where it's not so click, wait, done, start? Well, we'll need help with that, yeah? Well, okay, when it comes down to it, we're going to try to basically solve some of the most common issues and work our way down. Now, for the most part, we will be using various sides, whether it's knots or core, to showcase common issues. Rather, either side, sometimes they're both, but you're just going to have to listen to find out which one that is. And if you have an issue, and I didn't say directly it's for your side or version of Node, maybe it might, you're having the same symptoms or whatever, maybe trying it might help. I don't know. I can't guarantee anything, is what I'm really getting at. What this is really going to be is a bunch of resources, is what I'm about to give you, to help you solve issues when getting your node set up, regardless of which one of these nodes you want to try, or both. Okay. Let's keep going. So, the first one I noticed, huge issue, is this endless sync. And you see here, this is a Bitcoin Knots page that we're on. Let me pull up that URL for you. So this is a community page for the Bitcoin Knots endless sync. Now this could work for endless sync, dead sync, lost UI. These are random. These do happen for both. Even though this one says knots, it is more specific to knots. Dead sync and lost UI still does happen on core. Now, well, I guess maybe not so much lost UI, but dead sync. Now, if any of this seems like it's your warehouse, guess what? It may just be this issue. So, as you can see, let's review what this person actually says, because I think this is like that telltale sign thing. Okay, so they say they have a mini PC Elite. They got basically it's pretty good. It's not bad. It's a 4 GB RAM. It's got this 64 GB with an 8 TB SSD. And you can see there, Samsung, whatever. That less matter. This doesn't matter as much. The fact that it's running 870, you're gonna be fine. Linked to a router by the cable LAN, which for a lot of people that's important. All available experience, blah blah blah. Done Umbral 1.2.1.4.2 on knots. It's synced within about 5 days. With visible progress with 4 threads. Between 7 to 75% RAM. 3 GB at 3.8 available. However, after Knots version updated, the web UI is now completely lost, and Unreal 1.2 is just seemingly dead. Like, it's no communication. I decided to try Start 9OS and on this hardware, and it did work, but BTC Knots, I had to add BTC Knots from the community to run. After the first 24 hours, it did sync some. After 48 more. So you can see now this is probably a real syncing. Like the first time they synced, that was not right. 100% within 5 days on a no. No. This is more accurate. So this is way more accurate. So another telltale sign of this is you are synced the first time and it takes any amount of time, does not matter. But then after an update or after a week or after some time, your resyncing never stops. Okay? And so there's a bunch of things they're asking here that doesn't matter. We're not going to read that because no reason for you to read what they're saying there because it's not going to help you. Alright. Bitcoin will not work on 4 gigabyte RAM in 2025. You need something capable of running Core, which now has a UTXO set with an excess of 8 gigabyte. I'd say 12 gigabyte is a good minimum. Now, believe it or not, 8 gigabyte does seem to be about the real minimum that you can do, and it actually works. But you need to be able to have some of your hard drives set up as RAM capable in about 4 gigabytes worth. So we're really saying the actual minimum is 14 gigabytes. Dead serious, you need about 14 gigabytes of RAM to properly be able to run either Bitcoin Core or Bitcoin Ops. This is like the only place I could find where someone had noticed this. Like me personally, I've been running the same node for so long, and I haven't been able to have one running in like 5 years. And I did not notice this issue, but my node, when I was doing research for this, I pulled it out, turned it on, looked at it, and realized my node is actually having this exact issue for this exact issue. Like on my node, it's a mini PC as well, and it's a hardware spec limited to 4 gigabyte, and so it's impossible for that to really do anything. I guess it's possibly potential we could get 8 gigabyte or more set on a hard drive set for RAM, but it just won't work right at that high amount on the hard drive where you need more of it on a RAM chip. So, this was a huge find. This right here, let me get you that QR. There's a lot of people out there that are having issues with all forms of Bitcoin. And it first started happening on Bitcoin Cash, if I remember right. This first started happening on Bitcoin Cash, and it took someone over there to realize that it was a UTXO issue or it was a block issue or something like that. And when considering that same issue on Bitcoin, it's UTXO. So, okay. So the UTXO setup is exceeded 4 gigabyte. I'm just reading my notes. Sorry. So you're unable to sync or resync. This is most likely why you have a bad source data, and only wipe your node and try again with fix. Oh yeah, something that he said that he wiped it and tried it again, and it started to work better, but still never fully synced. So if you do that, and still resync isn't working, upgrade your RAM and storage. So if you're having these issues in this similar way, and wiping it and trying to resync seems to fix it, but then gets you right back to where you were, then yeah, upgrade your RAM, upgrade your storage. Okay. So another one. Okay, it's 5. Okay, it's gonna be more than one, but trust me, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. So you can see here, there's a lot of people that are going to have syncing problems. So, and we literally just helped with some of these. But what we're about to show you, basically are minor checks that you can do before doing what we just talked about. So, in this one, some of the things that they had to do to figure out this worked was wiping it, putting it to factory, putting everything on there, and trying again. So before doing any of that, here are some simple steps to ensure you need to do that, or to make sure that that's something that you need to try to do. It's confusing, right? Okay, let me read my notes. It's good to give data in order of importance sometimes. Like, if I just said, hey, do all this stuff before attempting wipe everything and blah blah blah, well, then you might not have ever tried this. Okay, but yes, these are good checks to try first when having syncing issues at all, including resync. Check your internet speed. Not just that you're on LAN, check your internet speed. I've actually seen some devices where it's like either the way things are set up or because like sometimes there's just no one else on it. But I've actually seen at times Wi-Fi be a better option for some devices. Um, like for example, I have a laptop who the has a Wi-Fi 6 blah 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 automatically installed, right? And it came preloaded like that. It has some insanely fast Wi-Fi, but it has the like its Wi-Fi to Ethernet almost exactly the same. And there are some devices that are going to be like that. Now imagine if we had a lot of people on the LAN and nobody on the Wi-Fi. There's a chance my computer could get a better Wi-Fi connection. So check your speed versus is it on LAN? Just check your speed because sometimes you're like, for example, you could have a LAN cable connected that's just bad or not so great, and you're getting connection, but you're not a full range or not a full bandwidth. So you might need to replace that cable. And checking your speed is a good way to find out what's going on. Trying Wi-Fi versus Ethernet to find out what's going on. Replace your HDD with SSD. Oh, this is very true. Even though there's a ton of extremely fast HDDs out there, some devices actually have PCIe slots and stuff like that, actually able to keep up the difference between some of these HDDs and some of these SSDs. Now, if you've tried before doing anything through USB, then you probably know that, well, they're going to be almost exactly the same. The USB is going to be your limiter there, not the actual device. And so how you connect and attach to that storage unit is also going to matter. For example, if you're running through strictly PCIe, HDD, or SSD, it's going to, it's going to be down to the PCIe, or sometimes the HDD will have less top end bandwidth, will have less top end limit. While if you're going like through an M2 versus a PCIe, the M2 is going to have a lot more room to run because it's going to be set up to have basically almost like dedicated channel on the PCI lane. So, how you connect to it is going to make a huge difference. Just exactly like the internet. Add trusted nodes. I don't like this terminology, but what that means is don't go off of some random node off the internet, or don't go off of some major agency or whatever. Like, find people you can whatever and say, add this node into my list of trusted nodes. Nodes I want to verify with. Nodes I want to keep up with. And now there are some people that they look at major industry nodes and they say, I want to keep up with those because, Coinbase or this or that, they know what they're doing. I want to keep up with them. And that's perfectly your prerogative, your allowance. And that's fine. So, add nodes you want your node to communicate with to try to sync with. Verify time settings. If your system clock is inaccurate, the node may not sync properly. Use network time protocol to try to keep it as accurate as possible. Re-download the entire blockchain. This is something everybody hates, but it's sometimes better to do this than completely wipe everything back down to scratch and have to re-download it again anyways. Now, there's a lot of people out there, they'll download the blockchain, they'll drop it into its own storage, and it never get touched again except for when updating. It don't get cleared, it don't get wiped, it don't get deleted. Now, if you were syncing with a device that's unable to handle some of those UTXOs, some of those UTXO files are going to be bad. Therefore, syncing will be impossible. you'll eventually find nodes seeing that you have bad files, and they will refuse to sync with you eventually. Are you having high disk or memory usage? So many people run pruned nodes alongside full archive nodes because, well, it's actually expensive to run a full archival node, and just simply in RAM and storage alone. But to be honest, running just a pruned node isn't actually a bad thing. If you're running basically a business, I'm sorry, my bad. Let me rephrase that. If you are not running a business, nor are you accepting BTC randomly from random peoples like a business would do, then running a pruned node might not be that bad for you. And also, running a node that just simply handles your transactions is also perfectly fine. So, under high disk memories, oh, I should have scrolled down. The very first one is prune that blockchain, right? Running different prune setups can really help you out. And just generic pruning, definitely going to make sure that you at least know what is still available and could be used. Restrict the meme sites pool on your end, very possible. Monitor with system tools like HTOP or IOTOP or Windows Task Manager. So that way you can actually see resource spikes and address bottlenecks in your system. Now, as a validator, you may experience peer connection failure. This is when your node fails to connect to other peers to run proper validation activities. Resolve these in the following ways. Check your firewall settings. Like, ensure your port is 83333 is open. So verify the network configuration, considering that if your network or VPN isn't set right, it may not be able to have block discovery or peer discovery. Restart your node with debug logs. If you ever get to a point where you just can't figure it out, get some logs, let it run, let it give you some issues, make it give you issues, do whatever it was doing to cause those issues, so you can go back, look at the logs, and search what they say, because that's going to get you further than anything else. Dead serious. Transaction not broadcasting? Happens. So basically, validators won't be able to include them if they can't get to it, right? If you can't transact to the chain or the network, ain't no one going to know that it's there. So check your fee rate. A lot of times, transaction fee rates might be very low. And I know at one time, like 0.000, like actual 0 sats was allowed. But now most people just use some form of subset. And it's been like that for a long time to make sure they don't get dropped out of the meme pool. So verify the node's meme pool status. Check, make sure that you're able to talk to it, you're able to access it, other people are able to access it, and it's not down. Use get raw transaction and send raw transaction. I don't really recommend this, but you can manually inspect or rebroadcast transactions if necessary. So you have an unexpected node shutdown? Well, here's how we can solve them. Again, get your debug logs. They say always update to the latest version, and what that really means is that sometimes you're having a bug or whatever, and you can go into the newest version, you can look at the release notes, and you'll be able to see that they patched a bug or something, or they patched something that might be a similar bug you're having. Sometimes they don't say exactly what they are, so that's why people say just upgrade to it, because then if there's a patch for that bug, it would be there. But it doesn't always fix it. So run with minimal plugins. Running with less going on, running basically directly the actual node, nothing extra, can make a huge difference. Sometimes those third-party tools can actually interfere, like firewall. Okay. Nice little set of information, I must say, by chainnodes.org. Thank you. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to keep on going, because now we got this. Alright. Fixing port forwarding problems. Okay, so now this guide may be from a place with a name that will make any seasoned coder cringe, but the data seems solid, thankfully. This will help you with multiple issues that result from fixing your port forwarding on your node. This should be very helpful because this is a super common problem, and it's natured to core over knots more often than not. Funny, but yes. So you can see there's some information here like the RPC information. You need how many minimum connections do you need? What's the minimum stable internet connection you need? And you see 10 megabits per second is not very fast. So, and then they're going to give you like the actual stuff. Like they're going to help you through this one step at a time. And this can get very technical, but as you can see, they're just giving you the info, explaining it to you, and then telling you what to do next. And you see here, it's covering multiples. It's not just Windows or not Windows. It's a little bit of everything. So this is really going to help you out. If your issue is port forwarding, this is going to help you out. So a lot of times, unable to communicate with other nodes and things like that is what that's going to be. I'm going to go down and see if there's a... No, okay. I was seeing if there's some, but no. Alright, we're going to keep going because we got more of these to do. And how come I can't get the text to just stay big on all of them, right? Okay. Now, I've seen with other systems too and thought it was good. This was a good one to include. So basically, yeah, right here, okay? So you guys see how this looks, what the screen looks like? I really want you to see what this looks like. It's really important. Okay. So you see this date, new outbound, fully relay, version 1, pure connected version, number, block number, pure number, nothing. New outbound, same pure, no, new pure, same block, nothing. He's talking to him. He's able to communicate and get information about him. Then nothing. It's not supposed to look like that. So basically, this is what it looks like when a person cannot connect to others because a branch in their system is considered invalid when it actually is valid. This is kind of to give you that first-hand experience of what it looks like to see a random bit flip or when a node is the first to record a difference of action, which is a natural node occurrence, similar to how anti-block behavior is a natural occurrence in blockchain technologies without directly being coded in. This is a common odd occurrence, specifically, with lightning-fast connection nodes and insanely slow connection nodes. It happens to both. So simply request to re-verify that invalid block or branch, and boom, the world will open back up to you again. Now, I believe they actually have that in here somewhere. That's all you have to do. I don't remember. Let me see. Yeah, see, you can see here, eventually, yeah, but eventually they figured out they have invalid block at 942, and I think their last active block was at 4133. So it was like, okay, that's a huge difference there. What happened? And I okay. the answer to what happened was they need to re-verify the block that is invalid. So when you come on here, it might look different. There should be somewhere on here where they basically explain that. It's probably a picture, and it's not popping up on my end. But that is going to have to be the trick. Now, I'm going to do something to see, and let's see what happens. Okay, so someone right here, this Peter Woolley, explains, your node incorrectly determined that block 4134 was invalid. Okay, so that was the last block. So 314133 was the last valid block, correct. And the one block after that, and all the blocks to their node after that are invalid. So it's rejecting all successor blocks. You can restart validation by using this code option based on if there's a hardware issue. And then if you go further down, I think there's just more of that. So there we go. The secret isn't, the answer really was there. It's just, I can't see it. Okay. Next. So we're including this. Well, let me see if I can. Okay. So I've actually seen this with other systems. Wait. No, sorry. I was rereading the one I just read. Because anyone can make a wallet, this type of never-ending headache stuff is uber common. Now, I want to bring up that this is not specifically for Sparrow Wallet users, but the answer is given below. Still, okay, okay. What I'm trying to say is, what I'm about to show you isn't just specifically for the Sparrow Wallet thing. Basically, anytime somebody has a problem, there's going to be something that's going to happen. So let's look at these comments. The Great Muffin. Alright, they said, this is likely only seem helpful. Keep in mind they're a top 1% commenter. But I asked ChatGPT, and this is what they said. It appears you're encountering an issue with your node setup, particularly finding the ports with Sparrow Wallet. Here are a few suggestions. So you can you can direct it to use your Bitcoin conf file, a specific file or whatever. Then it shows you how to port bind and all. Whole lot of work. Okay. So the Great Muffin gives a ChatGPT response that is very detailed and on point for many people, and this may actually solve their problem. However, though, this is just a band-aid to the big issue that ChatGPT never noticed, because it wasn't worded to even look for it. So we're going to scroll down to the information zones comment. Which one takes preference? It depends on how you're actually launching the Bitcoin Delta. If you run it as root, which is actually a bad idea, the one with root path is used. If you use it as a user, the only one with the user path is used. Run PSOX separated by grep Bitcoin and Bitcoin Delta. That's all they actually needed to fix their problem, is to change the path for their case. He's saying, hey, I see you're running it as root. You shouldn't be running it as root, but if you need to, run this to run it as root. I think this will just pass it to an auxiliary so you can access it as a user. And that's the problem, is they just installed Bitcoin ND as root instead of installing it as user. It's actually super common in people who use Ubuntu and Debian because we used to have to install everything as root. But nowadays, 22 and newer Linux, you don't need to do that for most things. Only if it's a core system. If it's a program, it just needs to be ran like a user system, because that's what it is. So the real possible reason the user is having the issue is because they installed the wallet as a root user. And the funny part is, if you do all this stuff that the AI said to do, it actually opens up a small hole to your root user. In other words, it lowers the security on the entire device. But if you look just past that to the person who's not as big, not as big as a commenter, they give you the real information. If you look below that, you see more of the exact same stuff people are saying. It's just more AI, more AI, more AI. There's even comments in here, people helping the AI stuff with AI stuff because their AI stuff didn't work. Like, dead serious. Oh, thank you for your details regarding number 4, the output, blah, 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 blah. It didn't work, basically. Ah, I see. Or is it related to this? Because if so, then it's empty, and it's just more AI bullcrap. Nope, based on information, blah, 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 it's more AI bullcrap. That's the problem. When it comes to troubleshooting, debug files are going to save you. AI, unless you know how to actually ask it about everything that you might not know about, because you don't, like, let me see, do I have that on here? AI showcasing the real issue with AI and troubleshooting. AI can only offer assistance for what context and goals the prompter has set. So if the prompter doesn't know enough information of the system at hand to be troubleshooted, basically, if you don't know enough to troubleshoot it yourself, you cannot troubleshoot the AI to ensure, like, you cannot prompt the AI to properly troubleshoot it for you. Okay? AI may only find a possible workaround, not the actual fix. And there's no guarantee that whatever it tells you to do won't cause more unexpected issues. Yeah. Just below that guy that had the actual correct answer is more unexpected issues. Come on. Alright. So I wanted to give you all yet another note guide. This one is of a few I'm going to give you all. See, each one has some differences to account, workarounds, and sometimes just different instructional guide can make a world of a difference. For example, everybody states things and says things differently. Everything's done slightly differently. We looked at Knots and Core's direct way to install them. Here's a generic way to install it. It's still Core, but it has a different outlook on how to do it. It even shows pictures. I mean, like, hugely different. So a different guide can be a world of difference. So here's a different guide. Okay. I'm not going to actually go through the whole guide, but as you can see, it even has the umbrella. And so you're going to get umbrella OS. And you're going to do the command prompts. And you're going to set this. And they're running it on Windows. They're on Umbrella on Windows. Look at that. Okay. Got that. Oh. Go back. Oh, Bitcoin running now. Getting the Bitcoin going. There's Node. So, huge difference. Again, different guide, different things. Okay, so with every problem, there are questions and answers. Sometimes find the solution you need to ask the right questions. Hold on a second. So here is a guide to help you understand the problem you may be having so you can ask the right questions. So they're going to node not syncing, verify your internet connection, blah, blah, blah. Slow performance. So basically it's going to say, here's the issue, here's how to verify this is your problem, right? Here's what to do. You got slow performance. You sure do all this. Your software crashes. Unexpected shutdowns or software crashes may be quite common, suggesting users to ensure they are running the latest version of software, checking their devices and hardware issues. Running software logs. To identify specific errors that can be useful. Advanced troubleshooting, low memory. So like it just goes on and on and on and on and on. So extremely helpful guide for figuring out what is wrong with your system so you can actually figure out what to do. Because sometimes what questions to ask is the harder part. Okay. Setting up a blockchain node, a complete tutorial. Now, this is by Axe Miner, in case you can't guess. That's like BitX and things like that. So, when you're on here with your device, you're going to see it is more set to the Raspberry Pi. And if you even look here, this is Home Mining Education and Community, xminer.com. This is Raspberry Pi. They're recommending a Raspberry Pi 4 of 8GB RAM. So I do actually have a note on that. It says Raspberry Pi 4 is not uber new, but just barely enough to actually run a node for at least 4 years, or the next 4 years. I would hopefully prefer anybody try to find a way to get a 12GB equivalent, like a Rock Pi or Orange Pi, that has 12GB Debian micro PC. Either way, this should get you where you need to go, and what I like the most about this is a multitude of options and currencies to be useful for someone multiple times. So like you can go through this and do it multiple different times for multiple different things. You don't have to list. It's not just about one thing. It's about getting it all going. And even like prune node versus full node versus light node. I like how they actually have the 3 versions in here. Yeah, look at this. Turnkey options: Apollo, Umbra, Start 9. There you go. One where you just use it all comes inside. You just put this on, turn it on, and run. Running node on a personal computer. Setting it up on your PC, doing it through a virtual machine. Like for different blockchains, look at this: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot, Solana. Like you're gonna be covered. You're gonna be covered, and it's plain and simple and easy to understand. And that is why we are bringing it to you today, guys. Okay. I'm actually a little bit shocked I made it through all that so far. Like I get my my VTuber model isn't really working right now anymore and stuff like that, but whew, we actually made it without extreme additional problems. That's great because we have looked at knots and core in a few different ways. And this time, I'm not sure if anyone noticed it, but we ended at single source troubleshooters, single source guides for nearly all Bitcoin node possible at this point, besides purely wallet enabled and customized nodes themselves. Nodes or knots needs basically all the same requirements as core. Both should be capable of full archival nodes, improved nodes, light nodes, and you only nodes. That's your transactions only. Right. We saw, besides some small quirks unique to each node softs or softwares, Bitcoin nodes will all have pretty much the same problems. because to some degree they are the same software, just with different user interfaces, user experiences, user preferences, user priority, and prerogative based on those users' own beliefs. And that's the real truth. And main difference is how you directly interact with that node. Perhaps some different options and considerations for the user, but mostly it's just what the user wants. And if you want to run one or both nodes, you can. Nothing is actually stopping you. And if you follow that last guy we just showed you with the multiple devices and all that stuff, you could actually have all the nodes running at your disposal using your virtual machines, where it may only need 1 to 3 nodes per micro PC. I mean, it's a great way to start selling API access, right, to nodes and other things if you got so many going. But it's also a great way to start, really, on understanding cryptography, cryptocurrency, nodes, miners, pools, solo blocks, rewards, fun, and freedom. That's really what we're talking about here today. And I know it doesn't always seem like that, but it truly is. Now, I think we have an outro, we have some videos, we have something to play, we have something for you, so don't go completely right away.
Yo, did you think you know? Did you think you hold? Did you think something new? That's the goal, to see from a new degree and get the change your mind needs to find something new. Life suddenly is easy for many, but when a wall appears, sometimes up is all you see. So let 3D guide to the side, yo, where there's a door though. Just be careful on your way out, for the first step is a do-si-do. A little bit Linus with something different, it's almost like he's something else. And regardless of maybe, perhaps it was that missing piece you was needing. Maybe it was that simple message you was searching. Definitely it's just indifferent time for defraying a mental mind state, separating us from our own mental mind tank. Boom goes the blast of thought. Boom goes the last spark with part. Boom goes the mental mind tank. Don't your perspective hit on the way out. Don't let your directive stop you when you doubt. Don't let the dire detection stop you from being getting excited, so the photons are delighted. Don't hesitate so we can line up the hash rate. Let me surmise the time, submit the rate, and reduce the fakes while we mine our major bets. Crypto technology like cryptographic money, while hashing your life into a set of QRs. It doesn't matter, cause this was 3D changes perspectives. Thank you for joining the show. Please return next time for a new role of perspective. Thank you for joining the show. Please return next time for a brand new perspective. Of perspective. Thank you for joining the show. Please return next time for a brand new perspective.